Washington or what's going on out here in the society, I remember that He's in charge and all things are possible through Him. And so I'm glad we were reminded that at the beginning of the meeting. It's great for me to be here because I have really deep roots in Robeson County. My granddaddy grew up in Maxton, James Watson. There's some Watsons still around, and some of you may have known Hugh Douglas Russell and Betty Russell. Their son Douglas, they still live in Maxton. My grandmother, we call her Granny, grew up here in Lumberton. She was James Anna Dories, her brother Bill Dories, and his wife Vina, and then my Aunt Thelma. Bob's passed away, and then Mike and Joe Dories run Twin State Parks here in Fayetteville. So I've got a lot of family here. And growing up, we had two fundraisers. We had two family reunions. Well, the Reverend already passed the plate. So we had two family reunions every year. We had one out of Scotland Forest in Maxton, and we had one here in Lumberton. So I'm familiar with Robeson County, and my whole life growing up, spent a lot of time here. Last few years, we've kind of dropped off on it. We're getting together as a family. Maybe my campaign will pull us back together. But the bottom line is, I have a love for this county. It feels like a second home to me. When you talk about roots and where you come from, I think about this place. My grandfather worked on the railroad. From the time he got out of high school, he started on a chain gang and worked for the railroad his whole career. Ended up a roadmaster up in Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina, and that's where I lived as a young boy. So I moved to Charlotte as a teenager. But my grandfather is probably the most important person in my life. He's someone I admire so much. And I always think if I can be half the man he is, I'll be a success in my life. But he taught me faith in God, most important. He taught me the value of hard work. And he taught me that you don't spend more money than you take in. And these are all lessons that served me well through my life. And frankly, these are values we need in Washington. And so I want to be your congressman, and I want to go to Washington and take Robeson County values that have been taught to me my whole life and take them to Washington and make a difference. As I said, I lived in Roanoke Rapids as a young man and moved to Charlotte as a teenager. My father was a home builder. So from the time I could walk, I was on a job site. Started out picking up trash, carpenter assistant, worked my way up. By the time I got into high school, I was a project manager and ran the subcontractors on different jobs. So I learned hard work from my father, too. Also learned I want to go to college. That inspired me. My mother's a teacher in Concord, and I've learned a lot of lessons from her, too, the value of education and the value of public service and giving back to your community. And so my entire career, I've been a behind-the-scenes problem solver. I was inspired by Jesse Helms and Ronald Reagan at a young age, and they got me interested in politics and believing that one person can make a difference. I'm honored that Jesse Helms' wife, Dot Helms, is co-chair of my campaign, and she and her daughter Nancy have endorsed me. And one of the greatest honors I've ever had, she gave me a quote. She said, "I know what a real conservative is, and Richard Hudson is a dyed-in-the-wool true conservative that people 8th District can trust." So for her to say that about me, it meant a lot to me. It's a lot for me to live up to. I'm honored to have that support. But I went to UNC Charlotte, worked hard to get an education there. Student vice president, started the College Republicans, led into the Young Republicans when I moved on, and that's where I met some of the fellows who are helping me run my campaign here. There's Craman, he's chairman of my campaign here in the county, and Jared, appreciate all your hard work. But if you want to get involved, those are the guys you can talk to. They'll have signs and doing all kinds of things here for me. Also, to address while I'm here, so I don't forget, there's little cards in front of you. If you'll fill out this card, we'll put you on our list. We've got an email that goes out once every week or 2 weeks. Okay, some of you are already on it. And if you're ready to volunteer for the campaign, you can check some of these boxes. If you're not sure yet, just leave those blank. But we'll give you information if you want to fill that out. We'll collect them before we go. But when I got out of college, I worked in campaigns, and I got the opportunity to work for Robin Hayes as a district director. And when we first started, Robeson County, part of it was in the district, and the northern part, Red Springs, and that area. So I got to spend time here. Got to know a good man named Edgar Edens who supported me in this campaign. So I know Edgar. I think he actually lives across the county line. He's got a lot of land over there. I worked every day, 6 days, basically 5 days a week on the road in the communities of this district. I spent a lot of time here. I worked with Lon Edwards, the old police chief up in Red Springs, on some projects there. And I got a real understanding of the communities of this district. And I think that's important that whoever you nominate to be your nominee and do the provincial congressman, somebody who understands the communities here. Another thing I learned from Robin, even though we had a portion of Robinson County, he felt like he represented all of Robinson County. So if somebody in the county needed something, we didn't ask where'd you live before we asked what can we do to help you. And so that sort of mentality of how you serve is something I carry with me. And so there is a sliver of the county that's not in the 8th district, but as far as I'm concerned, I want to represent Robinson County. You know, and the other thing that's true with Robin will be true with me. I'm not looking for where I get my votes, determine where I spend my time. And Robinson County is a long ways from Concord, where I live. But I will never forget Robinson County, because Robinson County is my roots. And so you'll see a lot of me. And if you need something, I'll be here. I'm real excited about this party and what y'all done here and the success you've had. Sorry she left, but I was going to brag on GL Bridges and the fact that we got a strong Republican in the state house from down here gives us all some hope. We've got a strong candidate here for the county commission. There's a lot of things happen here. But what I want to do as your congressman is come down here and work with you on building this party. Because there's a lot of people that are registered Democrat in Robinson County who think like we think. They share our values. They value the relationship with the Lord. They value their family. They have conservative values. And so I pledge to you that if I'm your representative, we're going to go work to bring those folks in the fold. I even worked on my own grandfather. He was a Democrat his whole life. He ended up in Roanoke Rapids and was on the city council for 25 years as a Democrat. He was a Jesse Helms, Ronald Reagan Democrat, but he was a Democrat. And around '96, I got him to switch to unaffiliated. About 5 years ago, I got him to go all the way to Republican. He's a 92-year-old Republican voter now. I want to do the same thing we did there and duplicate that over and over. I think we can do that. And I believe in this election we can get a lot of votes out of Robinson County for our Republican candidates. And I plan to work hard for those votes here. And I think Pat McCord can make some good headway here as well. This election is going to be really difficult. As upset as most people we know are at President Obama, he's going to have a lot of support, but he's also going to have a lot of money. This election is really about two things. It's about a conflict between two worldviews, and it's about power. Now, when I talk about the two worldviews, there's President Obama's worldview, supported by the congressman who represents you now, Larry Kissel, that says the government knows best. It says that you're not smart enough to decide about your health care. What health care you can get, what health care you can't get. Those decisions will be made by the federal government if President Obama gets his way. We'll stop him next year. They believe that the economy needs to be controlled by the government. You saw the president this week say gas prices are going up, so we're going to eliminate tax credits for big oil companies. What does that really mean? Big oil companies don't get those tax credits. Those are small independent oil and gas producers who take those tax credits and put them back into production. That's how they continue to explore and expand and get more oil and gas out of the ground. And so President Obama's solution to gas prices being high is let's shrink the supply. Well, you don't have to be an expert in economics to know that if you continue to shrink the supply, the price is going to go up. It's just simple. The President is not allowing us to get leases for drilling into the Gulf. He won't let us use the coal. We have more coal than anybody in the world. He was from Mount Holly yesterday, and he said that we have 2% of the world's oil reserves and we use 20% of the world's oil. It's an absolute lie. We have 2% of the world's oil that we pull out of the ground, but we have as much oil as Saudi Arabia. If you look at the shale oil, you look at the offshore oil, we've got plenty of petroleum here, and we've got tons of natural gas. We've got so much natural gas we can export it.